A pleasant good morning. It reminds us to switch off our phones, please. Thank you. A pleasant good morning, everybody. Yes, a bit better than that. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Emma Hippolyte, Minister of Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs, Dr. Demi Sinanan, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Development Agency, Ababesh Asefa, Head of Cooperation, Eastern Caribbean High Commissioner of Canada in Barbados and the OECS, Sunita Daniel, Chief Executive Officer, Export St. Lucia, Dr. Claudia Sprayville, Ambassador at Large, Trade, Investment, and Multilateral Issues. Other distinguished invitees, Ministry of Commerce officials, team from Caribbean Export, Export St. Lucia, distinguished owners and women-led businesses, those of you showcasing today, media, ladies and gentlemen, both here and online. A pleasant and warm morning to all of you. My name is Natasha Edwin Walcott. I am the lead Export Development and Promotion at Caribbean Export, and I will be your host for this morning's proceedings. Today we will be celebrating women and the strides they have made and will make in business. And to kick us off, I would like to welcome our Executive Director, Dr. Demi Sinanan, to bring you welcome remarks.
That is probably the first time I had to adjust the mic upwards. A pleasant good morning, Honorable Emma Hippolyte, Minister for Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs for the Government of St. Lucia, Ms. Abibesh Asefa, Head of Cooperation, Eastern Caribbean High Commissioner of Canada in Barbados and the OECS, Ms. Sunita Daniel, Chief Executive Officer of Export St. Lucia and Board Member of Caribbean Export Development Agency, Dr. Claudia Sprayville, Ambassador at Large, team members of Caribbean Export Development Agency, media, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, both here and online, a pleasant good morning and welcome to the launch of this most important program, Caribbean Women Entrepreneurs, Generating Resilient and Inclusive Trade, better known as GRIT. It is truly an honor to be here with you all this morning as we officially launch GRIT. On behalf of the private sector of the region, let me first express immense gratitude to the Government of Canada through Global Affairs Canada for for their generous financial support for this project. This is a landmark initiative which stands to benefit 6 Caribbean countries: Belize, Dominica, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and of course, St. Lucia. We are also grateful for the Government of St. Lucia through Minister Hippolyte and the colleagues at Export St. Lucia for assisting us in co-hosting this launch of this important initiative. This program really comes at a defining moment for the Caribbean region. It is a moment where all stakeholders, all business support organizations, all development partners are really being called to reimagine how we view economic growth, inclusivity, and resilience in the Caribbean region. Over the past few years, we have witnessed a period of deep transition across the Caribbean, shaped by continuing ripple effects of global disruptions, from extreme weather events and climate risk to fractured supply chain, economic volatility, and of course, geopolitical upheaval. I mean, I don't think I have to mention what's going on in the world right now. And this really impacts upon how we trade and how we do business. It is becoming extremely unpredictable. And for all the business people in the room, if we know one thing that business people don't like, it's unpredictability. Because when you can't predict what will happen, you are at the mercy of these external events. These forces have fundamentally reshaped how our business and how our business persons have to operate. It places even greater pressure on small and vulnerable economies like ours. And we have to adapt quickly and strategically to really adapt to this evolving landscape. Caribbean Export's mission under my leadership has been clear: to deliver tangible value to the private sector, including women-owned and women-led enterprises, by reimagining how we support growth, innovation, and resilience. Caribbean Export remains laser-focused on delivering tangible impact for the private sector. As the region's trade and investment promotion agency, Caribbean Export is committed to working on the ground with businesses to create jobs, promote opportunities, and attract high-value foreign direct investment. Our work is guided by our strategic plan that prioritizes export competitiveness, market expansion, digital transformation for MSMEs, and climate-smart innovation. These pillars reflect our vision for a globally competitive and inclusive, sustainable Caribbean economy. In today's dynamic global environment, we have moved beyond traditional program delivery, and we have adopted a more proactive and opportunity-driven model that connects our region entrepreneurs with new tools, new markets, and of course, capital. And central to this is really partnerships. We have to form and we have to really leverage partnerships with other persons who are doing the same work in the region. Unfortunately, many times, everybody, all developmental partners, everyone, they come together and they do their individual works, and we find ourselves sometimes reinventing the wheel and doing the same thing twice. Unfortunately, we cannot do that anymore in this global environment. We have to work together. We have to leverage our resources to make sure that we get the most impact of from our programs. Thus far, for this year, more than 930 business professionals across the region has participated in tailored interventions focused on capacity building, trade promotion participation, branding support, and grant funding. These activities have contributed to export expansion, operational upgrades, and increased employment, particularly for women and youth. In St. Lucia, because we are in St. Lucia, I just want to mention some of the work that we have done so far. Our impact has been multifaceted. One solution project was among 8 well-structured package investment-ready ventures that was presented at our Caribbean Investment Forum in 2024. And at the end of 2024, 8 companies from this country also participated in the digital checkup tool under Caribbean Export's Digital Transformation Institute. And we intend to support further firms in programming that we have upcoming, including the GRID program. As we all know, the region is dominated by small and medium-sized enterprises. It is really the cornerstone of Caribbean economies. Much of this activities is driven by women entrepreneurs, who make up approximately 40% of MSMEs across the Caribbean region. And that is an unofficial number, so it may be even more. Unfortunately, women entrepreneurs often face significant gender-specific barriers, including discriminatory policies, limited access to financing, technology, and asymmetric information, lack of access to international markets, and the necessary trade knowledge to advance their business. These factors severely constrain the potential for women-led businesses to diversify, scale, and compete internationally. This is why the GRID program is so important. The main objectives of the GRID program seeks to enhance the export potential of women-led businesses, expand their access to high-value, underexplored international market, including Canada, accelerate their digital and green transformation across all the sectors, and embed a culture and climate of inclusivity in business models. This is not just about supporting women-led firms, it's about catalyzing and building a culture of resilient, export-ready businesses that can really help position the Caribbean in global value chains. If we are able to support women-owned entrepreneurs, it can only benefit the Caribbean region in terms of growth and economic development. As we begin implementation of the GRID program, we have undertaken some baseline data to ensure that the program is fit for purpose and meets the need of women entrepreneurs, the specific need of women entrepreneurs. To date, close to 100 women-led businesses across the 6 beneficiary companies have signaled their interest in the program. And as we ramp up awareness of the program, this launch included, we are certain that this interest will grow. Of these, more than half are formally registered businesses operating across priority sectors such as agro-processing, green economy, and a mix of services including fashion and retail. These firms, these 100 firms, just baseline, collectively employ close to 350 individuals, and we see evidence of their growing economic footprint through their expansion, innovation, and readiness to explore new frontiers, including new markets. So based on this baseline alone, we can see the potential that GRIT has to really impact the Caribbean region in terms of employment, in terms of growth, and in terms of economic development. GRIT is also providing targeted technical support, grants, and market intelligence to help these businesses transition to digital platforms, adopt green production methods, and meet international standards. Whether it be integrating solar energy systems or optimizing online sales channels, these interventions are designed to build resilience, unlock new trade opportunities, and scale up presence, the Caribbean's presence in regional and global markets. One of the major functions of this program too is focused on access to finance, because as we know, small and medium-sized enterprises in general have issues with access to finance, and this is especially acute when it comes to women-owned and women-led enterprises. Many women-led firms operate in the informal sector or service-based sector, and as a result, they are often perceived as high risk by traditional lenders, especially when lacking collateral and credit histories. Through GRIT, we are working to change that narrative by coupling technical support with grant funding and forging new partnerships with financial institutions to help unlock the potential for capital for women-led entrepreneurs. By strengthening financial literacy, demonstrating business viability, and de-risking investment, we are laying the groundwork for more inclusive financial ecosystems. It's important to know that our work is not done in isolation. We are leveraging partnerships with local business support institutions, Export St. Lucia being an example of one of them, international organizations and other agencies, including the private sector itself, to support this GRIT program. So as I noted earlier, we are not working in isolation. We are partnering with what is out there to make sure that we have the full support for these firms under the GRIT program. And this is just the beginning. Over the next 4 years, the GRIT project aims to directly empower nearly 800 women entrepreneurs and influence thousands more through regional outreach and knowledge products. Capacity building activities will begin as part of this launch in St. Lucia, where tomorrow, in partnership with DHL, we will host a one-day workshop on trade and logistics, with other beneficiary countries soon to follow. Our aim is to empower a private sector that is greener, smarter, and globally integrated. At this point, I would like to deliver a plug for our Caribbean Investment Forum. See it in my speech here. In terms of attracting capital into the region and towards small and medium-sized enterprises, including women-owned businesses, Caribbean Export is hosting our Caribbean Investment Forum. You would have heard me mention the 2024 version. The 2025 version will take place the 29th to the 31st in Montego Bay, Jamaica. CIF is the premier platform in its 4th year and as a key driver of investment and the growth agenda, bringing together regional investors and global investors to unlock high potential sectors such as the green economy, digital transformation, logistics and transportation, and sustainable agriculture. It is a space where the private sector thrives, and I encourage everyone, both here and online, to engage with the forum and be part of the transformation and the movement, as my colleague Wayne likes to say. I understand we will have a discount code that my colleague Wayne will speak about when he delivers his presentation later. So in closing, I would like to once again thank our partners, especially the Government of Canada, whose support for GRIT is a testament to their commitment and inclusive and sustainable economic development for the Caribbean region. I also want to commend the team from Export St. Lucia, as well as my team, for their support in putting this event together and their dedication for entrepreneurs in the Caribbean region. Together, we are reshaping the Caribbean's economic future, one enterprise at a time. And it's important that that one enterprise includes all types of businesses in the Caribbean region, including women-owned business. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you, Demi. At this point, we would like to invite Sunita Daniel, Chief Executive Officer, Export St. Lucia, to bring some remarks.
Thank you, Natasha. Honorable Minister, if you'll leave, I request permission to adopt the protocol so ably set by Dr. Sinanan. It is truly an honor to be here today, not only as the CEO of Export St. Lucia, but also as a partner and ally to the many bold, committed women who are redefining the future of business in this country. This workshop and the wider GREET initiative perfectly aligns with Export St. Lucia's mission to facilitate, develop, and promote exports while building the capacity of our exporters to compete and thrive in international markets. Our mandate is not just about getting products across borders. It is about supporting businesses at every stage of the export journey and ensuring that no one is left behind, especially the women whose contributions have too often gone unrecognized. But that is changing and changing fast. Over the past few years, Export St. Lucia has made a strategic priority to support women-led entrepreneurs across a range of sectors, from agro-processing and fashion to wellness, services, and the creative industries. What we've seen is clear. When women have access to the right tools, training, and support, they move with incredible speed and purpose. They scale effectively, they reinvest in their communities, and they empower others in the process. Women are therefore a key strategic investment in economic development. That is why today's session is so significant. The GREET program is not just about knowledge sharing. It's about strategic alignment. It's about equipping St. Lucian women entrepreneurs to confidently enter high potential markets like Canada, not by chance, but by design. This initiative offers practical tools, targeted training, and the type of guidance that transform businesses from locally rooted to globally relevant. There is growing interest in St. Lucian products internationally, but we all know that the interest alone does not equate to market access. It takes structure, consistency, and a deep understanding of the demands of global buyers. That's where Export St. Lucia comes in, and where our partnership with Caribbean Export, Global Affairs Canada, DHL, and other stakeholders becomes truly impactful. With everything happening in the world right now, we've had many meetings about how do we move from tariffs and potential threats of tariffs and all of those changing dynamics, and Canada has been one of those countries, our partners, which we have put specific interest in. Even before all of this, we have found that in the last year, our trade with Canada particularly has grown significantly. It is actually one of our fastest growing markets in terms of trade. Our role is to bridge the gap between ambition and execution. That includes everything from redefining packaging and branding to navigating regulatory requirements and understanding international logistics. We are here to demystify the export process, reduce the barriers to entry, and provide the technical and strategic support that gives businesses, especially women-owned businesses, a real competitive edge. And to the women in the room today who may be hesitant, who may be wondering if they are ready or if they belong in the export space, let me say this unequivocally: you do belong, and you are the movers, and you are the ones who are going to reshape how we do export in the future. You don't need to have all the answers, none of us do. You don't need to have everything in place. What matters is your willingness to take the next step. And we at Export St. Lucia are ready to walk that journey with you. This program represents more than an opportunity. It is a starting point for lasting transformation, a space to learn, engage, and reimagine what's possible for your business in the global marketplace. To our partners, Caribbean Export, Global Affairs Canada, DHL, thank you for your continued belief in this work and in the potential of St. Lucian women entrepreneurs. To our minister, thank you for always coming and being present. Thank you for always supporting our work. To our participants, thank you for showing up and committing to your own growth. This is how we move the needle. Let's make the most of this opportunity together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sunita, for demonstrating how the work you do on the local level, at the local level, resonates and aligns so well with Caribbean Export. At this stage, I'd like to call Ababesh Asefa, Head of Cooperation, Eastern Caribbean, High Commission of Canada in Barbados and the OECS, to bring us the partner remarks.
It should be okay. Yeah? Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Natasha. With your permission, I will adopt the protocol that has been established and wish everyone a very, very good morning. I'm very pleased to be with you this morning in beautiful St. Lucia to bring you some brief remarks on behalf of the Government of Canada for the official launch of the Caribbean Women Entrepreneurs Generating Resilient and Inclusive Trade Project, better known as GRIT. As you can see, it's a mouthful, but I think we will all call it GRIT, and it will stay in our mind. This project, to which the Government of Canada is contributing a little more than $3 million, I think reflects a shared commitment from the Government of Canada and the Caribbean region to unlock the full potential of entrepreneurs in this region, including women entrepreneurs. And I think the previous speakers mentioned it, and we're all aware that the time is now. If we don't do it now, we will miss the boat, and we should not be scared by the change in the environment. On the contrary, take it as an opportunity that we should grasp and make sure we take it on and move forward. So GRIT for us is an initiative that's designed to build bridges. Bridges between local innovation and global markets, including Canadian markets, as was mentioned before, between ambition and opportunities, and most importantly, between women-led businesses and the tools that they need to thrive. The name GRIT itself speaks to the courage, perseverance, and passion that women entrepreneurs bring to their business every day. And these are qualities that they need not only in the business, but that are key to lead change in their communities and our society. Through this project, we're also delighted because this is our first ever partnership, direct partnership, I should say, with the Caribbean Export Development Agencies, and we look forward to working with the team and to see the team bringing their expertise, their network, and partnership to advance the important goal of this initiative. This project, as Dr. Sinanan mentioned it, is obviously a regional initiative that's going to be implemented not only in St. Lucia, but also in Dominica, Grenada, Belize, Jamaica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But we're doing the first official launch here in St. Lucia because St. Lucia is ready. And you've heard it before through the examples that Dr. Sinanan gave. Women entrepreneurs in St. Lucia are ready to receive this additional support, and the country of St. Lucia is ready and poised to move forward. This positive environment for women's economic development in St. Lucia is no accident. It's the result of the dedicated and hard work of many, including many of you who are in this room, and also the support, the continuous support from the government of St. Lucia. And we would like to commend the government of St. Lucia for its continued leadership and support of entrepreneurs and driving businesses to compete in the global stage. Canada is very proud to partner with the Caribbean in unlocking trade opportunities for women and further strengthening the links between the Caribbean and Canada. And we're keen to support economic cooperation for shared prosperity by helping more women entrepreneurs contribute not only to their own economic success, but also to the prosperity of their households and communities. Canada has a long-standing track record of supporting small and medium businesses and private sector development through a number of initiatives, and more recently through our support to Compete Caribbean, which is implemented by the Inter-American Development Bank, and to which the Caribbean Export Development Agency was also a partner, and now more recently with our contribution to GRID. So to all the entrepreneurs that are in this room, and I see some of them behind the table and some of them in the room, I want to tell you that your resilience, your creativity, and your leaderships are at the heart of this project and are key to this success. So we look forward to working with all of you and with all partners that are in the region that are not here in this room to empower local entrepreneurs and support resilient economies that can withstand future shocks and contribute to shared security and prosperity. We wish you all a very successful launch and workshop. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ababesh, for those warm remarks. And at this stage, I'd like to invite Honorable Emma Hippolyte, Minister for Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs, Government of St. Lucia, for the keynote, Empowering Caribbean Women for Resilient Growth.
Yeah, that's good. Good morning, everyone. I am very pleased to recognize Dr. Demi Sinanan, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Development Agency, Ms. Daniel, who has left us from Export St. Lucia, Ms. Ababesh Asefa, Head of Cooperation, East Caribbean High Commission of Canada, based in Barbados, Dr. Preville, who is our Ambassador at Large here with us, the staff of Export St. Lucia, staff of Ministry of Commerce. I recognize Ms. Joyce Medrick, President of our Fashion Council, our women entrepreneurs, members of the media, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me start by thanking you for being here today, and by extension, a warm welcome to our regional partners, Caribbean Export, and our friends from Canada, and most importantly, to you, our women entrepreneurs who are ready to grow, compete, and lead in business. It is no coincidence that we are having this initiative on the eve of International MSME Day, which is being celebrated this Friday, 27th of June. Our micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs are the bedrock of most economies, St. Lucia as well. And the United Nations has recognized June 27th as International MSME Day. In St. Lucia, our government over the past few years has intensified its focus and attention on the development of our MSMEs through our MSME loan program, which is being managed at the Ministry of Commerce, through our youth economy program as well. These initiatives have been ably supported by the remarkable work being done by Export St. Lucia and the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards in the area of training, market research and support, labeling and packaging support, and the adoption of international standards. Our two agencies would not be able to deliver these services without the continued support of Caribbean Export. And now we have our friends from from the Canadian government. So let us give them a round of applause for that support. Our data shows that a great percentage of our MSMEs are women. And for our MSME loan program, just over 50% of our grantees are women. And I can tell you from our first and second call-in, we have at the moment over 500 recipients under this MSME loan program. While the term women's empowerment is often used in public discourse, for us, it has never been merely a slogan. It has been a commitment translated into meaningful action. Over the past few years, we have focused on strengthening the foundation, building real access to finance, expanding business training, improving packaging and export readiness. Governments, in collaboration with agencies such as Caribbean Export and Export St. Lucia, have created an environment where women entrepreneurs are supported every step of the way, ensuring that when a woman is ready to take her business seriously, she is never left alone to navigate the journey. We provide that support. And in St. Lucia, we are seeing the results. More women are starting businesses. More women are formalizing their businesses. More are beginning to think about markets beyond our shores. More women come to the Ministry of Commerce seeking information and assistance with business from startups to well-established businesses. Today, however, is the beginning of a new chapter. We have reached a pivotal moment. It is time to scale up. Transitioning from a small enterprise to a stable, export-ready business can be challenging. And I fully understand the concerns that often accompany this next step. I hear them frequently. What if I'm unable to meet demand? What if I'm not fully prepared? And what if I do not succeed? Ladies and gentlemen, the fear of navigating uncharted waters is real. To every woman asking those questions, I want to say this: you may never feel fully ready. You have to realize, understand, and appreciate, and find perfection within imperfection. Growth rarely waits for perfect conditions. You just have to begin. Take that leap of faith, because trade, scale, resilience don't happen overnight. They happen through consistent strategic steps, supported by the right systems and the right people. This is why I'm so appreciative of the work done by Export St. Lucia, Caribbean Export, and now the support provided by our Canadian friends. It is this system within the Ministry of Commerce, our Small Business Development Unit, the work that is done at the Bureau of Standards day after day. This is what gets you ready. If you participate in the training, if you sit and listen to the technical support provided, and if you invest the time in your business, the sky is the limit. That's exactly why this program today, Caribbean women entrepreneurs generating resilience and inclusive trade, GREET, is so critical. This program, led by Caribbean Export, with the support of Global Affairs Canada, and delivered here in St. Lucia through Export St. Lucia, is designed to bridge the gap between potential and actual market access. It is here to equip our women-led businesses with the technical support, market intelligence, and business training needed to confidently enter new markets, particularly Canada, where demand for St. Lucia products is rising. Whether it is through agro-processing of foods, handmade creations, wellness products, or creative services, Canadian buyers are paying attention to what we are doing here in St. Lucia. They are looking for authentic, quality, and reliable supply chains. And we have all three. What we need now is the confidence and capability to meet that demand consistently. What we need now is the confidence and the capabilities to meet that demand consistently. As a government, our role is to create the enabling environment for success. But we also need you, our women in business, to step up into that space. Even if your operations are still small, even if you have never exported before, you belong here. And we are ready to support you with training, with data, with experienced partners who are investing in your growth. To the women who are still hesitant, who wonder if they are big enough, if they are ready enough, if they are bold enough, let me assure you, the export market needs your products, your ideas, and your leadership. And St. Lucia needs your success. Let's shift how we think about trade. It is not out of reach. It is simply the next step. And when St. Lucian women thrive in business, our entire country benefits. This is not theory. This is a fact. Today, we are not only launching a program, we are launching possibilities. Through GREET, we are strengthening our trade capacity, expanding our networks, and positioning St. Lucian women to take full advantage of regional and international markets. And as we navigate an uncertain global economic landscape, where trade rules can shift quickly and without warning, we must be proactive, not reactive. We cannot afford to wait. We must know our options, build our export resilience, and be prepared to act and move swiftly when needed. Whether it's tariffs, logistics, or consumer trends, our businesses must not only survive, they must be positioned to adapt and thrive. So today, I offer my heartfelt thanks to our partners, Caribbean Export, Global Affairs Canada, and the staff of Export St. Lucia, the staff of the Ministry of Commerce, the staff of the Youth Economy, the staff of the Bureau of Standards, and you, our women business owners. The support is here. The time is now. Let us embrace this moment with intention, with courage, and with a shared commitment to progress. To end, I leave you with this quote from the phenomenal woman, Maya Angelou. And she says, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." So ladies, just step up. You can do this. We have put you first. Please put yourself first. And may God continue to guide you on this journey. I thank you.
Thank you so. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, ministers, for so ably demonstrating and highlighting how support for women redounds to the overall economic development. We know that you have a busy schedule, so we wanted to take the opportunity to have a photo op. So if I can invite Ababesh, Demi, Wayne on stage, and we will join Minister for a photo. Thank you. Just waiting for a presentation to load. We will now have the overview of the GRID program, and that will be done by Mr. Wayne Elliott, Manager Technical Programs, Caribbean Export. And before that, we'll just play the video.
Are reshaping the future of trade. This is Caribbean Women Entrepreneurs Generating Resilience and Inclusive Trade, the GRIT Project, a partnership between Global Affairs Canada and Caribbean Export. GRIT is unlocking opportunities for growth, innovation, and resilience. Through expert training and grant funding, women-led businesses are going green, going digital, and going global. GRIT equips women to scale up, meet international standards, and access new markets like Canada. Nearly 800 women entrepreneurs in 6 countries, plus thousands more online, will benefit. This means stronger businesses, more jobs, and resilient Caribbean economies led by women. If you're ready to grow, innovate, and trade with the world, GRIT is for you. Visit grit.carib-export.com to learn more. GRIT, empowering women, powering growth, made possible with the support of Global Affairs Canada.
Thank you. And now Mr. Elliott, Manager Technical Programs, will present the overview of the GRID program.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Yes, please. Good morning to our viewers online. Thank you very much for your hospitality. Thank you very much to the people of St. Lucia. I truly love to visit. I almost feel a little bit St. Lucian every single time. I do know I have a very weird accent. You will believe that I'm partly St. Lucian. You will believe that I'm from all over the Caribbean by the time that I am done. And so, hopefully you just understand the words that I'm saying and you get it with the passion that I bring. So GRIT is our newest project. It's the baby on the Caribbean export block. And we're very, very excited to get it rolling, to get it moving, get it up and off the ground. And so what I'm gonna do is I'll give you a real sense of what the day-to-day operations of GRIT would look like. For the entrepreneurs in the room, I'll give you a really good sense of exactly the types of opportunities that our friends and the opening speakers were speaking of, what type of support you can expect. I think if you listen very carefully to each of our speakers, two central themes come out. You belong, that's one, and we want you to know that you do belong. Along GRIT is designed in such a way that any female-owned or led business, any female entrepreneur, can benefit from some part of the support. Now, let me just tell you, we do have 6 main countries that we're focusing on, but Caribbean Export is a regional organization, and there's also support built into the GRIT that can benefit you if you're online, you're watching from any other jurisdiction. Yeah, we will have some of our trainings and workshops online, and so we welcome you. This is not to be exclusionary at all. This is just placing a strong focus on countries where we believe it's needed most, okay? All right, so let's go in. Let's go through it. All right. So the project aims to increase productivity and export readiness, women-led businesses from Belize, Dominica, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadine. Essentially, what we want to do is we want to help businesses to scale up. We want to help them to diversify. We want to help them compete regionally and internationally. And so, truly, if you have any interest in growing your business, in doing more trade, regionally, internationally, you want to get into a new export market, internationally, the Canadian market specifically, GRIT is for you. Now, Caribbean Export, we will partner and provide training, and we will also provide grants to women-owned firms. Now, we are very keen on women-led firms as well, and essentially what we're going to be doing is providing this support for entrepreneurs to, one, identify additional promising markets for them and their products. We're going to help to bring knowledge and meet skills and requirements for entry into those markets. We're also going to facilitate launch to market programs which would allow you more structured support and preparation for specific markets, especially the Canadian market. And on the last side of that, what we're actually going to do is provide support in market and in country. So we're not going to just prepare you for the Canadian market and send you on your own. We're going to design specific exercises and support where we will accompany you into the Canadian market. We'll find friendly faces there to provide us support, open doors for us, allow and broker conversations, as well as participate in international trade shows happening within the Canadian market. And so this program is designed specifically with you in mind, and we will provide a lot of hand-holding support if you do need it. And for the entrepreneurs who want to run a little bit faster, the program is designed in such a way that you too can still benefit. We're going to be working at your pace as far as possible and delivering the support that you need for your business. So essentially then, and you heard it from the video, we're targeting just about 800 women entrepreneurs. Now that's not a huge number, and it's a signal, right? The program was designed and agreed and approved in this way because we want to provide tailored, specific support to every single beneficiary. You see a number behind me there. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. this one, which speaks to the 10,000. And this speaks to the wider reach of Caribbean export and the fact that we're going to be doing some stuff online and the fact that we want additional people to benefit. Now, they tell me when you want to spend good money and you want to invest it into the future, you put it in the hands of a woman and she'll make it spread. And so in this instance, what we want to do is we just don't want to build female entrepreneurs. We want it to move forward. You know, women have a way of networking, bringing additional women to the table, their kids, influencing their kids. And so what this project is really about inclusivity, right? We want to grow this project and we want to expand it out to reach that 10,000 indirectly, right? Now, another part of it as it relates to inclusivity is really about benefiting vulnerable communities and vulnerable women. And so in Belize and Dominica, we have some indigenous communities that we really want to focus on and we really want to get into. In Belize specifically, it would be the Garifuna people, and in Dominica, it would be the Kalinago people. And we're going to be making a special attempt to reach vulnerable groups and communities and going in and assisting women in these locations to develop, scale, and export internationally. The two thematic areas, so think about it as like horizontals. The two thematic areas are going to be areas supporting the green transition. So how do you make your business greener? What are the steps that you need to take? Thinking about the circular economy principles. That's what we're going to be doing there. And the other vertical is around digital transformation. And so we're sector agnostic, but we're looking for a thematic horizontal. But we're willing to work with you around any vertical within any sector. Now, let's talk a little bit then about the actual support. And so we spoke about capacity building, so capacity building for the adoption of green business practices. We're going to do capacity building for the adoption of technology or the development of technology. We're doing quite a bit of data collection and mapping and conducting exercises with women-owned and led firms to really understand the nuances and the exact type of support they need within the GRIT program, but beyond. Right? And the last thing is really around technical assistance being provided. One of the things that we really want to do is we really want to get in and offer technology audits. And so a part of a different type of support that we did, what we realized was there are a lot of aspirations around digital transformation, but if you really don't know where to start for you, you know, that's where, you know, it gets kind of overwhelming. Everybody's talking about the use of AI and cloud computing, and I'm really just trying to make $1 and make my life easy at this moment. I'm really just trying to get into this particular market at this moment. And so what we're going to be doing is providing technology audits to specific firms and essentially coming into the firm, really sitting with you, understanding where you want to go and where you want to carry your business, and creating a roadmap to be able to try to get you to where you want to go and advance you digitally. The last part of the program, which I think is also very interesting, is the grant component. And so we will be providing some grant resources, and I'll tell you about that on another slide. So for us, what does success look like? And this is really a sense of what are we looking for, what are we measuring? Overall, we really want women-owned and led businesses in selected sectors. And we want to be able to provide you with the opportunity to be able to identify and respond to international markets, the Canadian market specifically, meet their requirements and enter into that market. And so for us, what we really want to do is target jobs, job creation. We want to improve export readiness. So we want more Caribbean firms export ready and exporting. We're going to be working on improving your business skills, your business acumen, and we want to do and put a focus on technology adoption and greening of enterprises around the region. Now, here's the other part that I know is very interesting. Informality in the Caribbean is very high. And you may be sitting there thinking, you know, I'm not ready, or I haven't made the steps to register my business, and I'm not exactly sure that I will qualify. And so here's what we're going to be able to do. We're going to be willing to partner with institutions on the ground, every single jurisdiction that we're in, to allow for the formal registration of companies. Essentially, this registration becomes super important when we get to the grant stages. And so what we want to do is allow you as much lead time to get your affairs in order. And essentially, I'm telling you, if it is that you want to benefit from the grants component of the GRIT program, let's get you registered formally, even if it's just the first step, the registration of your business name. I think you should take that and let's move with it. If you need support in that area, please reach out to us. We have the GRIT website up. We also have an email set up. Please reach out to us where we know the needs are, and what we can do is partner with institutions to get you on track to be able to receive the support. We anticipate that the grant funding will come around maybe in about just about a year or so, when we have some time to get the capacity work done. So here's how we measure progress. It's really the indicators of the project. We're going to be looking at the number of entrepreneurs that are supported. We're going to be looking at the number of jobs created. We're going to be looking at the technology adoption, the percentage of technology adoption, and the greening. I'm so sorry. I have a conference screen, but I keep looking all the way around. And we're also going to be looking at the percentage of exports. Yeah, we really want Caribbean women-led, women-owned firms to own their spot in the global marketplace and export. Now let's talk about the grants. So along with the trade missions, all the launch to market programs, the market intelligence support, the capacity building support, helping you to meet the requirements of the Canadian market and other international markets, is the grant program. And the way it's going to run, we'll have very defined criteria. We'll launch an entire call around this, so I would suggest you also follow us on social media. And essentially what we'll be asking you to do is follow an application process. We're going to make it as simple as possible. You don't need to worry too much about all the paperwork. That's our commitment. We'll make it as simple as possible. There will be paperwork, but one condition for sure is it needs to be women-owned. And so what that means in the context of the GRIT project is that at least 51% of the ownership is held by a woman, female. And you also need to be legally registered. Yeah, so we're still designing what the specifics of the grant call will be, and so we'll put out publicly. But those two criteria, you can check those off almost immediately. We'll ask you to apply. You'll submit your projects, your concepts, what it is that you really want to do with the grant resources. We'll go through an approvals process. We'll put the eligibility criteria out there publicly, so you know exactly how you'll be scored. And we'll provide support through information sessions to ensure that you really understand what it is that you're signing up for and how best to position yourself for success. And then we'll get into the interesting part of the disbursements, where you actually get the resources. Our role transitions a little bit. We will be monitoring and providing more hand-holding support to ensure that the resources are utilized and go to the best use. And essentially then all that's left to be said is kind of give you a sense of what size the grants are going to be. For the program, we're targeting just about 32 grants. We have just about 800,000 Canadian dollars approved, which means that each grant has the potential to be up to a maximum of 25,000 Canadian dollars. Which if you put it in your calculator right now, I think it works out just to be just over about 18,000 US dollars. So where are we now and where are we going within the next couple of weeks and months? Right now we're mobilizing, so we're starting with the launch now. GRIT will have a dedicated team that will work with GRIT beneficiaries that will advance the program forward. And so there will be someone at Caribbean Export whose job it is to provide that support to you. You can reach out to them, you can email them, you can send your queries in, and we will respond to you. The capacity building sessions, they start tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a very interesting set of sessions. Dr. Preville is going to be presenting one of them. And we're also partnering with DHL to give us some assistance on really understanding the logistic side of exporting into Canada and really getting an overview of what it really takes to get into the Canadian market, a look at the preferences, a look at the requirements, and just a general overview of the Canadian market. Following that, we're going to kick off the thematic type technical assistance. We're going to kick off the launch to market programs and start preparing firms to engage in market activities in Canada. We'll launch the grant program just about a year, maybe a year and a half from now. And then what we're going to do is we'll follow that up with the actual in-market activities. So in some instances, once we get fully going, you'll kind of see it overlapping. It's going to be on a continuous cycle. Capacity building is built throughout the entire program, so there will be opportunities for training for every month, basically, for the next 4 years. And so don't feel too worried if you're not able to make the first ones. We're going to be here. We're going to be here to hold your hands. We're going to be here to work with you and take it forward. Now, I have one more slide, and this is where you participate. Do you see the QR code right on the right side there? Can you take your cell phone out and just click on the QR code? This is the Caribbean Investment Forum, and we're ready to go. This is happening on the 29th to the 31st July, Montego Bay. Now, this is where businesses go to do business. If you are a founder or project owner, you have a very interesting project, and you need to get into the room or a room to meet investors, to meet capital, to meet friendly faces, this is where you need to be. Right now, we actually have a call out for founders. We're promoting the Caribbean Investment Forum Business Sprint and Business and Founders Sprint. And the business pitch competition is going to close later this week. We're going to be having an information session later this afternoon. And so if you're very interested in getting into a room with angel investors, understanding what they want, what they need, what they ask for, the type of support that they're willing to offer, then the business investment sprint is for you, the Founders Investment Sprint. And if you're keen on a business pitch competition, keen on receiving tangible, practical reviews from credible investors that can help you to advance or maybe even get you the investment that you need, then the business pitch competition at the Caribbean Investment Forum is for you. Natasha told you about a discount code, and Demi told you about a discount code. If you select buy tickets on the link there and you enter GRIT, G-R-I-T, it allows you access to our early bird pricing to secure your ticket for SIF. So, GRIT, G-R-I-T, is a discount code. Thank you very much. Ladies, you belong. We're here to hold your hands every step of the way and to provide you the support that you need to get your business where you need it to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Fun fact, when we had our first pitch competition, it was a St. Lucian business that won and walked away for a sizable amount in USD. So just letting you know that it's real, and he's already set up a business. So it's platforms like this that Caribbean Export, working in partnership with others, that we're able to create to support business. So at this time, we thought it would be very, set a different sort of scene. So we thought it would be great to curate a panel discussion with women founders and those actors in building the ecosystem to support women. So at this time, I'd like to invite Ababesh Asefa, Head of Cooperation Eastern Caribbean, High Commissioner of Canada, to join us on stage. Kathleen Carew Afrifa, Executive Director, Helen's Daughters, and Shondell Alexander, Managing Director of Abby's Exotic Brands, to join us on stage for a fireside chat From Vision to Venture, a conversation with women founders on their entrepreneurial journey.
Just wait on this chest.
Very low there. So thank you so much, audience and ladies, of course, those online. So as I mentioned, we thought it'd be a great idea to hear from actors in the space. Keith Lynn, we know Ababesh, of course, as the partner. Shondell is one of our beneficiaries. She's participated in several of our activities. So as we heard this morning, GRIT will support women-led businesses, enhance their export readiness, foster digital and green transition, and embed inclusive and climate-conscious practices in enterprise development. It is a reflection of Canada's feminist international policy, which prioritizes gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls as one of the most effective ways to reduce poverty and build a more inclusive, peaceful, and prosperous world. So today's panel is an opportunity to bring that vision to life through the voices and experiences of women in their own roles, breaking ground. So I'm honored to be joined by Ababesh, Keith Lynn, and Shondell. And as I said, they're either actors working to build the ecosystem to support women, or in the case of Shondell, who is a woman, of course woman, but a woman business owner of Abby's Exotic Blends. So these women, you know, we really want to hear from you in your day-to-day, how you support that effort. So let me start with Ababesh. So Canada has consistently prioritized gender equality in its international development work. So tell us, why is women's empowerment, especially entrepreneurship, so central to your policy approach?
Great, thank you. Thank you for your question, and thank you again for having me here today for the launch of this very important initiative for us. As you mentioned it yourself, our Feminist International policy, the core of that policy is recognizing that you need to put women at the center of any development intervention that you do if you want to achieve sustainable results. And obviously, when you look at economic growth, you have to put women at the center if you want to make sure that you achieve economic growth. The reason why we focus on investment in small and medium enterprises led by women and women-owned, I don't have to tell you in the Caribbean the importance of small and medium enterprises. I mean, it's the heart of the economic development, and we realize that unless you invest in that sector, it will be difficult for country to achieve their development goals. So that's why it was an important focus for us. But why women? I mean, women because they face many barriers. So they are a significant portion of the population, and they face many barriers. So if you want to achieve results for the full population, you have to address the specific barriers preventing women from achieving the same results. So that's one of the main reasons. The others is also because we've seen it times and times, it's a source of innovation. It's a source that when you support women enterprises, you see the benefits to the community, not only to the family, but to the community there's in. So there's ripple effect in investing in women. And women are the future. When you look at innovation, when you look at the transitions that we need to make, if we do not invest in women, then we will be missing the bus. So that's why for us, when we look at our Feminist International policy and the support that it provides to economic growth, it's important to ensure that we put a focus on supporting women in all the spaces.
Great, thank you so much. Keith Lynn. So you would have heard Abebesh place, focus on women and why it's so important. And I just wanted to ask you, obviously you've started and founded Helen's Daughters, what personal experience or gaps that you observed in the system and that motivated you to set up Helen's Daughters, and is there some convergence between what Abebesh mentioned and your work on a day-to-day?
Thank you for that question. And it's really nice to share the space with Abebesh and with Shondell, both I'm fans of. I think for me with Helen's Daughters, it was obviously personal experience and also seeing structural inequity within the agricultural sector. So I have a rural background and very much inspired by my grandmother, who was a farmer and a vendor, but was essentially never recognized as a farmer. And I think Mr. Elliott actually touched on something that I think we forget about. Oftentimes, with women, we remain in the informal sector. And there are so many women like my grandmother who have missed marks or missed amazing opportunities just for the very fact that they remain informal. And I think there's also even a mindset that is almost like as if some women believe that they don't belong in the formal sector. So I think for me, those are the things that inspired me to start Helen's Daughters. I also think seeing programs like the GRID program, while talking about gender issues can be very ticklish in the Caribbean context, I think that we have to recognize that development is not a one-size-fits-all solution. The same way there are perhaps solutions that could be tailored for men, there are really indeed, I've seen that solutions need to be tailored for women. So for example, with us, with our programming and so forth, we take into account that we have to do it after hours because women take on not only full-time jobs or side hustles and so forth, but they have children. And they take on most of the unpaid care work within societies. And that's not just in the Caribbean, that's globally. So it's really taking into, I think, the perspectives and experience of women and tailoring essentially targets and approaches to helping women be pushed forward. Because I think the issue in the Caribbean, it's not about necessarily equality. I think we don't understand the two. It's more so about equity. So it's not a competition between men and women necessarily. It's really the fact that men may, in some instances, have more resources or more social standing than women do. And unfortunately, we don't recognize these subconscious norms within society.
Thank you for that, and I'm going to stick with you. Obviously, you're in this agriculture space. Do you think that women farmers, or as a sector, that this experience is different? Do you think that they're more vulnerable to men in the sector or just any other sector, that women farmers, given your role that you see, like, is it special, is it different, and is it that you believe when you support a woman farmer, you do more than another sector?
Again, very ticklish.
But we're here to really dispel all of this. We're having a frank conversation.
I mean, again, speaking of my own personal experience, in my household, as I said, my grandmother was not recognized, my grandfather was recognized. And in many households, he struggled, for example, with alcoholism. And in my own personal situation, she was the one who was able to actually keep the savings and the land and so forth, but she was never a registered farmer. So again, it's perhaps maybe the future that we could have had, we did not have as a result of his own struggles and as a result of her staying within an informal sector. And I see that a lot within the women that we work with Helen's Daughters, because I think what people don't sometimes think about is that productivity is also affected by personal experience. So sometimes what's happening within the household and so forth will affect your business. When it comes to men, well, the difference between men and women, it's very obvious. Helen's Daughters has done a study, I think 4 years ago, for the World University Service of Canada. It was a gender market approach to women and youth in agriculture. And what we noted was that one of the biggest issues was land tenureship. So in, for example, Jamaica, I think the difference is almost 80% of men owning land versus 20% of women. And this is not imagined. This is actually the reality. Even as an owner of a non-profit organization, we ourselves have issues with getting access to land. So far less for an organization versus an individual.
Thank you for that, and I think you were touching on something that Wayne said. Women, we stretch the money further, so you give the woman the money, and really she's able to support families and communities. So thank you for that. Moving to Shondell, woman-owned business, Abby's Exotic Blends. What inspired you to start Abby's Exotic Blends, and what were some of the earliest challenges that you had to overcome as a woman entrepreneur?
Good morning, everyone. I was inspired by my kids. I became a single parent of 3, and when that happened, I had to think really quickly. And so I sat down, I made a list of all the things I thought I could do best. They were all in the household. And I started with $2 plantain, green plantain, and it emerged to 1,000 pounds a week. My inspiration don't only come from my children now and the household. It also comes from the resilience of the farmers that I work with. These people basically witness a hurricane every year, and they still continue. They get up and work again. And the inspiration for me is setting my goals and reaching them. Supporting different households, supporting those farmers that has families because they don't have any other income but farming. And so all of this together is what makes me who I am today.
And can you share with us, access to finance is a major barrier. So at some point you would have had, to face a financial institution. What was that like, and what do you think needs to change in the system to make capital more accessible to women owners?
It was a horrible experience. I basically write down everything that I do. So when I went to the first institution for funding, they told me that I had to have research, I had to have more concrete evidence. It was almost like I needed $30,000 to obtain $40,000. And I decided to work at my job. I worked at a gas station for 16 years. I remained in that job, and all of my monies went. I moved back to my parents' home so I wouldn't pay any rent, and use that money, that rent money, to push my business to where it is today. I remember COVID came, and I went to a certain institution, and I was like, I can't pay my rent. The business is now 8 months into not paying rent, and I'm not going to give up my business. And it had to be the ECPCGC to come in and assist me, and that's why we're still here today. I didn't get assistance from any lending institution here in St. Lucia. And if I can clearly remember, I registered my business in 2012. The dream I had back then for my business, the business has surpassed the dream that I had. So if just one person had believed in me, today I believe we would have been a fully mechanized project.
I know it's somewhat difficult conversations, but I think we really need to unearth and have these conversations. So those in the room, policy, of course, Minister is here. Part of the project is to work with financial institutions to make funding more accessible, and of course, with our grant program. So this is real, this is the truth, and we hope that after the 4 years that this project would have really moved the needle. So Ababesh, we're coming back to you. Obviously for Canada, gender inclusive development, it is central to your work, and you have other projects around the world that focuses on gender and gender inclusivity. How are those lessons informing your work in the Caribbean?
Thank you again, and thank you for the question. I think it's a very good question, and I've been to various events, different workshops, listening to women in the Caribbean, and also obviously in my previous posting in other parts of the world. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but the challenges are similar. I hear the same messages, personal stories in terms of what pushed women to try to go further, issues about accessing finance, issues about recognition of women and the status of women in comparison to men when it comes to credit, when it comes to land ownership or home ownership. So all these challenges, we hear them also in other countries. So it's a positive and a negative. Positive in a sense that when something works somewhere, then we can learn from that and see maybe we could try to apply it here. Negative because it shows how big the challenge is, because the whole world is facing it. So to answer your questions, I would say we rely heavily on the experiences of our partners. We do understand that lessons learned from one part of the world can be applied in other parts of the world with a partner that understands the context. So you can't just transplant something from East Africa immediately to the Caribbean unless you have a partner, and I'm going to point Caribbean Export here, unless you have a partner who understands the Caribbean context and who can say, this could work here and this part could work here, etc., etc. So this is how we encourage our partners to learn from what's going on in other parts and ensure that what they bring is anchored in the reality and the need of the population that they have here.
Yes, and especially given, understanding data and where we are, that's why the baseline survey is so important. So just a reminder for those in the room online who have not completed that form, you can find it on our website, carib-export.com. Keith Lynn, you've been doing some work for a few years now. Can you share with us perhaps some of the biggest opportunities you've seen for rural women farmers? Is there a success story that stands out for you?
I'll start first with the collective and then the individual success story. I think for me, being within the realm of agriculture and food security, persons don't realize the intersections, for example, with health and wellness. In the Caribbean in particular, like Sir Hilary Beckles said, 1 in every 5 Black Caribbean families suffers from hypertension or diabetes or some form of disease like that. And what I've noticed with women farmers, well, women in general dominate agro-processing. So they may do raw production, but some way women, they may be limited by resources, but not by strength and innovation. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to having raw products, they always find a way to create something else within that space. And what I've seen is the innovation that comes out of that. I've seen things like baby formula being made from local things like Toloma, as we would say, or persons that suffer with maybe like gluten allergies and so forth. You'll see where they would use traditional ground provisions and make modern twists like breadfruit waffles for those types of persons. So it's not just the innovation of the product, but what I'm inspired by is the fact that health and wellness is integral to that. I think the next thing in terms of the individual success that really stands out for me is similar to Abby. There was this young woman that we worked with, and she had a corporate background, but she always wanted to be in agriculture, well, aquaculture and so forth, so CMOS farming. A year into doing the training program and so forth, she took the leap, and she's never looked back. I think she has one of the more recognizable female-owned CMOS farms, and again, unlike most of her male counterparts, it's not just dry CMOS. She has the gel, she has the capsules, she has the powders. So these are the things that, again, like really ring true to me and are very inspiring to me in working with women entrepreneurs.
Funny thing, one of our workshops when we talked about CMOS, because we know CMOS is quite big these days, and it's quite labor intensive. I learned that to get 1 pound dry CMOS, you need about 20 pound wet CMOS. So just do the math. When those orders for CMOS comes, and they do come through our emails at Caribbean Export, we have to think who do we send that email to? So just one of those things that recognizing CMOS, but the work that goes back, goes behind it when we pick up those off the shelves. Shondell, we're about to close, so I just wanted to hear from you. From your experience, what are some concrete steps, whether from public or policy side, mentorship and so forth? What do you think, a few things that you could mention that you think could help support women even further?
Hand-holding mentorship is critical. If you give a woman $5,000 to start a business, she starts a business and then she gets into some sort of problem because we have a lot of single parents or single women who are into business, but they don't have the education. So they get to point C and they fall into a trap. And that trap could be a lot of things, because in 2021, just after COVID, my business was drowned in. I lost my mom, then I lost my dad. What do? Do I lie down and allow the business to die because my parents died? No. I got up and seek the help that I needed to get back on my feet. So basically, we need to have institutions, government institutions that will continue the hand-holding, because people may look good out there, they may present themselves well, but they may still need that help to push them further. Recently, I am a proud recipient of the grant funding by the Ministry of Commerce and the government of St. Lucia, and I am thinking ahead. This is my first machine, real machinery. We have government institutions that have mechanics and engineers and so on. It's been a year, and I'm thinking, what if that machine would break down? What do I do? So it's not just about giving us what we need, but finding out what we further need. So if one engineer or mechanic or whatever can go around, check these machines out, because these are people in business who doesn't have the know-how and they don't have the cash flow either to get those machines serviced. So for business continuity, I really think that we should have a conversation and go back to these people. We can't have machines breaking down and sitting in a corner. That's not what we got it for in the first place. So hand-holding and frequent visits twice a year from the government to see, because some people are not open to just go to maybe Export St. Lucia or call Caribbean Export or, for the help that they need. So I think that's why sometimes some people go under, because they don't want to come out and say, I'm failing here, I have a machine that's not operating well, and,
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for that honesty and, that conversation about the practical ways that we could support women. Just wanted to see if there are any questions for the audience. Doesn't look like it. We handled that very well. So any final thoughts from you, Ababesh?
Here we go. Thank you. Maybe just for me, as final role, when we look at this issue of women economic empowerment, and I think with any other issue, I think it's important to always think of a comprehensive approach. And I think through GRIT, you're trying to address some of the barriers that women are facing, like you talked about, mentoring, training, so the skills aspect, but also the access to finance aspect and the opening market and supporting them, etc., etc. But I also think we need to realize that women face several other barriers that do have an implication in terms of how they can engage economically. We talked about the care issue being one of the issues. Sexual reproductive health and right is also another issue in terms of the sizes of the families, etc. So always thinking that there's no one quick fix when we look at these issues. We need to have a comprehensive approach, and to do that, we all need to come together collectively. We can't expect one entity to have all the answers. We all need to come together to be able to support these types of initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen?
I think for me, what I will say is that, again, sort of similar to what Abimesh was mentioning, that collectivism, I would really like to see more government entities lean into partners like the civil society sector. I think programs like the GRID program are amazing, but I think that we sometimes feel a little locked out, even though we have the connections and the relationships with those on the ground. It sometimes feels a bit far off. Thankfully, for example, Canada has been a great partner to Helen's Daughters, but it doesn't necessarily feel the same in the region. And I feel that I would like to see closer relationships with our government and entities and agencies with civil society. And the next thing that I would say in terms of collectivism as well is I'm hoping that the GRID program, because of our size, that we need to function as a unit, we need to function as communities. And what I've found is, especially within the agro-processing sector, not every single person needs a factory, especially on a small island like St. Lucia. We need to come together. If 10 of us are doing dehydration of products, we can all use a shared space. And we're not seeing those shared spaces. And also, I think on our end, in terms of working with grassroots farmers and other actors, we also need to build that collectivism within our own people as well.
Wonderfully said. And Shondell, any final thoughts from you?
Yes. To what she was saying, at this point, I'm out of that space already. I basically live at my space. So sharing a space with someone for me now is of the past. So my dream now is to become mechanized, and I'm working diligently on that. And to the women out there, show up. Show up. Once you show up, things will get to where you want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't think I have much to add, except that it's been a wonderful conversation, and we really look to GRIT and such programs to really empower and support women. So thank you very much. If you can just remain on stage for a quick photo op, and then we will close the formalities. Thank you all so much. This brings us to the end of our launch ceremony for the GRIT, Generating Resilient and Inclusive Trade, thanks to our partners, Global Affairs Canada. At this time, we'll just invite you to network. We have some hors d'oeuvres. We have some women entrepreneurs in the back. You could, of course, see their products. We thought it would be wonderful for women in St. Lucia to showcase what we have on offer. As I mentioned, there's the baseline survey that signals to us your interest in the program. And of course, you can subscribe to our mailing list, carib-export.com. If you visit our website, there's a subscribe button on the homepage, and that will, of course, inform you of everything that we have, including the GRIT program, Caribbean Export, Caribbean Investment Forum, etc. So thank you all for your patience. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Thank you.